What's going on, fraud and audit friends and family? Listen, imagine you're sitting at home one day and you get the call that you've been waiting for. An opportunity that seems like the absolute perfect next step in your career. You sign the paperwork, the excitement builds, but then something feels off. The details, they just don't add up. Well, this week on the Friday Fraudster, we're talking about a story where anticipation turned to confusion, and trust became the ultimate trap. Are you ready? Let's go.
Welcome to the Friday Fraudster podcast. Join them as they discuss sad, funny, and sometimes disturbing fraud stories. Be sure to catch past episodes on your favorite podcasting platform or go to www.fridayfraudster.com.
All right, what's going on, people? Listen, it's been a hectic and crazy time, right? The last 4 or 5 years, we've seen people hiring, people firing. We've seen people get promoted. We've seen people get demoted. It's been pretty tough and very interesting. I was reading the news this morning and I saw where Google is actually laying off a bunch of people. They consolidated their Android and a couple of other groups of programmers. And so they're giving people an option to take a severance and leave. And I'm guessing that if they stay, they'll just get fired. So it's a pretty tough time. So anybody in the job market right now, because I can tell you, it's scary out there. It's real scary out there. Clarence, my man, hey Clarence, hey man, we were supposed to catch up, man. I apologize, man. Um, Maybe we can catch up next week. And Leslie is here. She said, this is already resonating with me, and I just got here. Ooh, Leslie, are you looking for a job or have you just been laid off? It's been a tumultuous time. If you read the news, they tell you the economy is booming. Here's the one thing that they don't tell you, though. A lot of the job numbers that they're giving in the job reports, those are government jobs. Public sector jobs are just doing okay, but every time you turn around, there's another layoff. So our job reports, this is not the show for this one, but our jobs reports that we've been getting have been artificially inflated based on government hiring. So let's just keep it real. The job market is tough out there for a lot of folks. A lot of jobs are being eliminated because new jobs are being created because of AI. And so a lot of us are having to upskill, reskill, do something different. Now, I'll tell you, oh, by the way, you guys, I know you're probably wondering, he hasn't introduced Christine yet. Well, Christine isn't here today. She said that she is sick. Although I didn't wait for the second part, she may have said, I'm sick of you. And so maybe, no, she said that she was sick today. So if she's watching, maybe she'll say hello, but she's probably in the bed sleep. Unless I did misinterpret the message and she said, I'm sick of you, you know. So job market. Let's get back to that. It's been crazy. So I'll tell you, in 2020, when the pandemic hit, I had already lost my job, and I started filling out resumes. I was looking for a job because I was like, okay, am I going to be able to build my own company? What if I can't? Let me look. So filled out 100 plus resumes, even got some soft verbal offers. And then as the pandemic got worse, then people said, no, we're not going to hire for this job after all. So that's always a scary and a crazy experience to sit there and think that you have a job. And then as you go further and further into the process, only to realize you don't have one. I've been reading Reddit forums. I don't know if you guys read Reddit forums, but I love Reddit, especially the Big Four forum. And I've seen where these young kids graduating college, they've had job offers from some of the Big Four firms, and the offers have been rescinded. And if you don't know how the Big Four work, sometimes they'll hire you up to a year out before you graduate. So some people had job offers for this fall or internships for this summer, and they've been canceled. Anybody ever had a job just cancel on them? I've had people say, we're no longer hiring for this position. And then I stalked the website to make sure they weren't lying to me so that they, just be honest. And they didn't hire for the positions. Or I had one instance where thought for sure I was going to get the job. And they said, well, we did cancel this job because we split this one position into two because apparently the amount of money that they were paying for the position that they were going to hire me for was a lot. And they figured they could get two people instead of hiring me. I think I'm worth a lot of money. Don't you guys think I'm worth a lot? So, okay. So Clarence, Leslie, anybody else listening? We got a few people on YouTube too. I can see that as well. You guys ever had a job offer rescinded? You ever had somebody give you a job offer and say, I'm going to hire you, and then all of a sudden they rescinded that job offer? And if that's ever happened to you, how did it make you feel? Like I said, it's only happened to me like once, and I felt rejected. I felt sad. Can't say that I was angry. I don't really do anger. That's an emotion I don't, But I did feel disappointed because it was an organization I really wanted to work for. But all in all, it made me hustle harder at my own business. And so now here we are. There we go. But we live in a time where scores and scores of people right now are looking for work, can't find work, are being promised work, and then some are having the rug pulled from under them in what they thought was a life-changing, life-altering job prospect. And I think that's sad. And I feel sorry for those that happened to. I feel sorry for those people that has happened to. So, with that said, that brings us to today's story. Today, Las Vegas Metro Police are investigating an alleged job fraud scam after hundreds claimed they were deceived. So here's what happened. Hundreds of people gathered outside of a business off of Sunset and Pico in Thursday morning in Vegas. Many of them believed that they were about to start a new job, but instead they walked away feeling uneasy. Now, it's one thing to have a job rescinded, but what happened to them, you're going to want to hold on for, because this was kind of amazing. So before you start a job, what do you have to do? You got to complete an application, go through a round of interviews, and then at some point, they tell you, we want to hire you. And then you get really, really happy. And then they say, I want you to take a drug test. Now, if you don't do drugs, you don't have anything to worry about. But if you dabble a little bit, depending on which test they do, you might be in trouble. If they do a urine test, that might catch things that are maybe up to a few weeks old. If they pull a strand of your hair, that goes back about 6 months. Some people say 6 months, some people say a year. So You get nervous after you get that job offer. Now, I don't do drugs, so I don't have that to worry about. But for those who do, you get worried after you get that job offer, right? Then, after you go and take and pass the drug test, you come into the office and you fill out some paperwork. And on that paperwork, you give them your name, your social security number, or your visa number if you are not a citizen. You give them your bank account information so that they can direct deposit your check into your banking account, because most people don't get checks nowadays. So you give up a lot of information on the first day of the job, or sometimes before you start the job. Some people go in early because they are really, really anxious and excited to start that new job. Now, does that sound like the process? That sounds about right. Is that what we still do nowadays? I think that's what we still do nowadays. Leslie is saying it's out of our control. So plan B, plan C. Yeah, I say all the way to plan Z. Figure out what your skills are and how you can market them either to other businesses or to individuals or within an organization, but always have your skills up to date because you never know when you might need them. So I'll tell you, you know, when I lost my job and I started looking, I was really trying to figure it out and I was real nervous. And what I did was I ended up starting this podcast and another podcast. I said, okay, what we're going to do is get some visibility. I want people to be able to see me so that they can know what they're getting if they hire me to train their auditors or to do public speaking. So for those of you who don't know, I help auditors become awesome. I have a course catalog of over 50 courses and I train auditors and audit departments, but I'm also a keynote speaker. So then the next thing I did was I said, well, I can write pretty well too. So I wrote 2 books in a 9-month period of time, wrote them and self-published them. One of them became a bestseller on Amazon. So between the podcast and then the books and then social media, I'm very active on social media. You see me on LinkedIn almost every day. So I made sure that I was so good or so visible that you couldn't ignore me. And then, once you hired me, you could figure out how good I was. But the reviews speak for themselves. So in this job market, you really got to do something to stand out. Are there other trainers out there? Yeah, I collaborate with some of them. Are there some that are better than me? Yeah, but only a handful. uh yeah, but so I agree with that, Leslie. Have a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, E, F, G, and also have a side gig because you never know when you might have to turn that into your main gig. Now, Leslie brings up another good point. Find out company policy before applying. Yeah, 100%. Find out what the company policy is because somebody might ask you to do something that's not on the up and up. And you don't want to find yourself in a trap like our people in today's story. So after they filled out an application, they paid a $200 fee, believing it was for a drug test. You know what? Since we're here, um, I'm wondering how much does a drug test cost? Because I don't think they cost $200. I don't think even the hair follicle one costs $200. So let's look this up right now. Okay, so what I see right now, I think LabCorp is one of the biggest drug testing medical labs out there. Generally, prices range for standard urine drug tests between $10 and $30 for standard urine. For at-home testing kits, they can be anywhere from $50 to $150. So yeah, drug tests don't cost that much. So that could have been and should have been a clue to these individuals, but ah, okay. Leslie was saying, find out the company policy about drug testing. Got it. Thank you for that clarification. Um, so yeah. So would you feel apprehensive if an organization asked you to pay for a drug test, especially when They said well, here's the thing. What if they ask you to pay $200 for a drug test before they even hire you, before you've even been offered the job? Now, that's a real red flag. But what if they've sent you an offer letter, you've signed it, sent it back to them, and then they say, okay, we need a $200 fee before your first day of work, and you need to go and take this drug test? What if that happened? What would you feel about that as well? I can tell you personally, I would feel strange about that because the drug test is your cost of doing business. You should bear that cost. But I'm wondering if anyone has ever had to pay for their own drug test. Now, Clarence, that's right. I know you've been working at the same place for a long time. Clarence said he hasn't completed a job application in 31 years. Man. And then you're going to be retiring soon, man. What are we doing post-retirement? What island are you going to go retire on? Because you deserve it, man. This is your second retirement, though, right? Didn't you retire from the military? So this might be your second retirement. You'll be living a good life at this point. Oh, Clarence says the salaries suck big time. Yeah, and some of that's happening across the board, though. Um, yeah, salaries are an interesting topic nowadays, and they range wildly from low, extremely low, to extremely high. Oh, Clarence did not retire from the military, but you were in the military. I remember that. So, have you ever been asked to take a drug test for a job? And when did that drug test occur? Because I'll tell you, the last job that I had where there was a drug test, I think I actually took it after I started. I think it was sometime during the first week on the job. They came to my desk and said, here's your slip of paper. Go up the street to the LabCorp office and get the drug test done. And it was a standard urine test. But I've never, ever been asked to first pay for a drug test and secondly, take a drug test before there was an absolute affirmative that the job was mine. That's never happened to me. So that's why I'm wondering how people fell for this. So the victim said that they filled out the application and paid a $200 fee, believing it was for a drug test. The victims were given a piece of paper with their drug test appointment details. But when they showed up at the various Quest diagnostic centers in Las Vegas, that's another one. You got LabCorp and you have Quest. When they showed up at the Quest Diagnostics in Las Vegas, they say that when they got there, employees informed them that they were not aware of their appointments at all. And that's when they said they realized they had been scammed. That is when they realized that they had been scammed. Now, if that's not bad enough, it gets a little worse. Now, I know what you're thinking. You just lost $200. You thought you had a job and you had high hopes. How could it get worse? Before I talk about how it got worse, imagine the people who actually quit a job for this new job that was a scam. From what I've been reading so far, most of the people didn't have jobs, and so they were looking for employment. But imagine if you already had a job and you quit because the lure of this job was more money or a better location, or maybe they allowed you to work remote. You were really messed up at this point, in dire straits. So, how could it get worse? You're probably asking yourself. How could it get worse? Well, these individuals also completed application where they gave out their personal information, social security number, driver's license number, family demographics, home address. So now, not only do the criminals have their personally identifiable information, their PII, they're also out $200. Now, I imagine at some point we're going to have some identity theft that might occur. And these individuals are extremely concerned, as they should be. I'd be concerned too. So now that begs the question, though, how in the world did they fall for it? And the only thing I can say is sometimes desperate times call for desperate measures. Sometimes people get so desperate that you would do things that you wouldn't normally do. Because right now, I could not imagine someone coming to me and saying, "We want to hire you for a job. You need to pay us $200 for a drug test." Because first thing I'm going to do is go to Google. How much is a drug test? And when I see that it's $30 to $50, I'm going to start scratching my head. You want my social security number before I even start work? I'm a little leery of that because normally you fill out that paperwork the first day on the job. Now I do know some people that have done it early because the company said just come in early, but for some company that I'm not aware of, I don't see myself doing that. And Marsha is joining us on YouTube. Hey, Marsha, Happy New Year. I don't know if I've seen you since the new year. Yeah, some desperation is for survival. Yeah. Because in reading the articles, many of these people were actually Hispanic immigrants, and they had been out of work because COVID put a dent in some work, right? And they saw these opportunities as a chance to get back to living the life that they had lived before the world fell apart. Believe it or not, there are still a lot of people suffering from what happened almost 5 years ago now. Can you imagine? It's been almost 5 years, but the repercussions are long lasting. So, um, if you are just joining us, today we're talking about people who were scammed out of money and their personally identifiable information. They were given false hope of a new job. They were told that they needed to pay a $200 fee for drug testing. And they also gave away their private information: name, address, social security number, driver's license information, or state issued ID card information. So I have a feeling that at some point these individuals are going to be out more than the $200. Um, so, what can they do right now? Number one, put a freeze on your credit. Put a freeze on your credit right now. Secondly, go to authorities. And it sounds like they've already gone to authorities, but find any pictures that you may have on your cell phone, any phone numbers that you may have dialed, and hand everything over to the authorities. Next thing is, wherever you found that ad, make sure you tell the authorities and go look and see if a similar ad pops up, and warn people, inform the authorities and warn other people so that no one else falls for this. And then I would say the last thing is be vigilant, um, realizing that these are tough times. People are hurting. People do need jobs. People are looking for income. But now being out $200 and also having your personal information out there, that's not good. Life might actually get a little bit worse before it gets better at this point for these individuals. Let me ask, has anyone ever had their identity stolen before? And if so, how did you fix it? How long did it take? I know that was a lot of questions, because I'll tell you, I've never had my identity stolen because nobody wants to be me, right? That's nobody, why would you want to be me? But I've had some friends that have had their identity stolen. And from what I've heard, it is an arduous process in order to correct things that end up happening. Filing paperwork with credit reporting agencies, cleaning up messes that may have occurred. It's my understanding that it is an extremely troublesome thing to go through. And this is interesting. Some of my LinkedIn comments is they're not coming through. Wait, Clarence, you said no, you're not a vet. I don't know why I thought you were in the military at some point. So Clarence is saying he's not a vet. Man, I'm just all wrong and all off today. Shoot. If they had caught me on a day like today, maybe I would have paid $200 for a drug test. Because I am just all off. I think it's because I don't have my sidekick Christine here to just say crazy stuff and watch her just look at me like, what did he just say? So you guys are having a solo me today. It's just me, no Christine. She is sick. And as I said earlier, she didn't say she was sick of me. So I'm assuming she's health sick. Marsha's like, where's Christine? Because of the delay, Marsha, you I probably already said it now, and you'll probably hear it in just a few minutes because there is a short delay. But yeah, she said that she was sick. She didn't say she was sick of me, Marsha. She just said that she was sick. So we can ask her next week if she really meant she was sick of me. Now, while I also have you here for my auditors, AI is everywhere, and some people talk about it and some people do something about it. You see all these LinkedIn posts and all these articles. Auditors need to start using AI. No one really tells you how. There are a few people, me, and I know of at least one other person that talks about practical uses. But here's the difference. I actually did something about it. I created a platform called Audit Leverage, which is or uses artificial intelligence to help auditors become more efficient at what we do, but also more proficient at how we do it. There's several modules, all the way from doing a risk and control matrix to helping you formulate questions to ask your clients, to helping you with root cause analysis and critical thinking, and then helping you find the right words for your audit presentation. It is a fabulous tool. And what I'm about to do right now is show you one example of the risk matrix and how quickly we can create one so that we can start doing the things that really matter, and that's engaging with our clients. So let's say I'm in the financial services industry and I want to figure out what mortgage servicing operations look like. At least I think that's the example in the video I have. Check this out. So let's take a look at audit leverage really quickly. Suppose you wanted to get a risk matrix for an area. You would go to our risk matrix model and you would simply type in the industry you work in. So in this case, financial services, and what you're looking for, which would be mortgage servicing in this instance. And with the click of a button, you have a risk and control matrix with your audit testing. This is just one powerful function within Audit Leverage. If you look to the side, you'll see that there are several other modules, approximately 14 or 15. So, Audit Leverage, helping you leverage AI to maximize your audit career. Now, with that said, let me say you will not be replaced by AI, but you will be replaced by someone who knows how to leverage AI. So why not get Audit Leverage today? Oh, this is so weird, Clarence. Your comment actually just popped up. Insane. Maybe I should have called in sick today too, like Christine, because I'm having a lot of weird stuff happening over here. Hopefully you all aren't seeing some of these blips that I'm seeing. Hopefully I've been able to conceal them quite well. But if you have just joined us, we're almost at the end. So go back to the beginning. Today's show was the first day that never happened. This was episode number 168. Can you believe that? 168. And today we talked about a group of individuals who were scammed, defrauded out of $200 with the lure of having a new job. The $200 was for drug testing. And obviously, when they showed up at the Quest Diagnostic Facility for the drug test, Quest had no record of them. And so they lost that $200, but they also lost their personal identifiable information. And they've said that the documents included their social security numbers, their residency status, in other words, where they lived, and their driver's licenses. One victim said that, they took more than money, they took information, and information is powerful. They're also saying that they took advantage of the Cuban community. So it was a bunch of Cuban folks who were taken advantage of in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, this happened in Las Vegas, but it could happen anywhere. So as you apply for new jobs, be vigilant. Do not give out too much information until you vetted the company. Um, and please don't pay for drug tests. That's a company's cost of doing business. They want to make sure that you're drug free. Got it. Understand that is important. We don't want impaired people on the job, but the company should be able to pay for it. All right. So, thank you for joining me on today's episode of the Friday Fraudster. That's all I got for today. We'll see you next week.